It's actually my pleasure to introduce Tim. I'm Mike Harris. I founded Bamboo Software. We help companies set up the foundations of their software smart factory, and also we love doing a bunch of prototyping. It was good to hear about that a little bit from there. I have analogies based off of children. I have a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old, so everything's in that space. We've all heard of crawl, walk, run. We help people at the crawl phase and maybe even the rolling over phase. And I think that's a good leeway into what Tim's going to talk about as well. I first met Tim at a Sesame Roadshow down in Indianapolis. If everybody here should be following Sesame. They put out great content, they host fantastic events, and as you'll see, they're surrounded by really quality people. So without further ado, Tim's going to tell us more about how to get started practically with the roadmaps, and also a little bit more detail into how to fund these.
I think unique amongst the speakers tonight have nothing to do with either GE nor the lighting industry. My name is Tim Stuart. I'm founder of Visual Decisions. I founded it back in 2002, so we've been around for a while now. That whole time we've been working to get data from the shop floor and help companies use that effectively to actually drive improvements. And so what I'm really going to talk about is starting with a roadmap and how you can potentially get 50% funding for your smart manufacturing initiatives. So when I think about getting started with smart manufacturing and a lot of these devices and so forth, and should I start with this one or should I start with this one? I didn't mean to break that one. And I think about Alice in Wonderland wandering lost through, Wonderland. And she runs into the Cheshire Cat and asks the Cheshire Cat which road should she take. And he says, well, where are you trying to go? And she says, I don't know, I'm lost. And he says, well, then it doesn't matter. You can take any road you want. If you don't know where you're going, you'll get there. So how do you actually decide? The advice has been start small. But how do you decide where to start small? I mean, do I start small over here or over there, on that line, on this machine, where? And so this just start small fallacy that I think companies get trapped in, where this is a mid-sized organization, you've got your corporate production team, you've got 2 plants, and they're going to start small. Well, they don't actually start small. They start with an MES system up here at the corporate level. But then, the quality manager in plant 1 says, I'm having issues in my lab. I need to, start collecting information, laboratory information management system. And so he, goes after or builds an LMS. Meanwhile, over in plant 2, they have more robust needs, so they're looking at a full-blown quality management system. And then in value stream 2 in plant 2, well, they're focused on just statistical process control. So they want to put an SPC system in place. And then over here in maintenance in plant 1, they want to get a computerized maintenance management system. And then in plant 2, they're looking at a hosted maintenance management system. And then these guys are doing a machine monitoring system. Those guys are doing a different machine monitoring system. These guys are doing a third machine monitoring system. These guys are doing more manual labor. So they think, well, let's take a look at video analytics and look at a solution around that. And then these guys are doing a different video analytics solution, and predictive maintenance, and CAD and PLM, and ERP upgrade, and forecasting and planning. And this may feel unrealistic, but John gave examples earlier of the big OEMs. I worked with a mid-sized manufacturer that had, well, kind of upper end mid-size, but They had 7 plants. They had 56 different systems for quality. Just for quality. And that was just across the 7 plants. And they had different systems in different plants for testing, for SPC, for QMS, for warranty returns. You name it, they had different systems to take care of it. And so there wasn't a single person in that company that knew what all of the different places to go get quality data were. So they had a recall on one of their products, and they wanted to go get information for it. They couldn't find all the information. There was nobody that had knowledge of where all that was. When I talked to the IT department, they said it was all in SAP. I laughed. So, as John was saying, this ends up with fragile, siloed systems, deep technical debt. You end up with a lot of cybersecurity issues, and it's extremely costly to just maintain as well as upgrade and try to rationalize all these things. And by the way, all the naming conventions were different in every system. So if you try to do reporting in one central location, it still didn't work. So the Just Get Started. These are numbers that have come from McKinsey, from Deloitte, from various analysts that are out there and so forth. The probability of failure in any pilot in these areas of failing to achieve your objectives is between 70 and 95%. And the problem isn't the technology. The technology only accounts for about 7% of those failures. The big problem is around the people in the process. For IoT, I use an example all the time, Fitbit. I've been wearing a Fitbit since 2013, so 12 years now, I guess. And it hasn't helped me much. And it's not the Fitbit's fault. It's a great IoT device. It has advanced sensors, it pushes information to the cloud, uses AI to turn those signals into footsteps and heartbeats and sleeping patterns. It presents nice, pretty charts and graphs on my phone, on my watch, on my computer, etc. And I haven't changed my behaviors. So I haven't lost any weight. The IoT device works great. But if your people are on the shop floor doing the same thing tomorrow that they're doing today, and they're doing it in the same way, you've done nothing to improve the business. So what you have to do is you have to think through not just what is the technology that I want to put out there, but what am I going to do differently tomorrow? And so what that leads into is start with intention. Start with a roadmap, knowing where you're going to go and how you're going to get there. So again, why start with a roadmap? If you're throwing darts at a dartboard, hopefully you do things in the ready, aim, fire sequence there, so that you're actually ending up where you're aiming the dart. You want to understand the value. Somebody was just saying, focus your efforts in the right areas to get started. Where am I going to make a difference? Let's start small, but let's start small someplace that we know it'll make a difference. And let's begin with intention so that we don't end up with different pilots for the same functionality being run in different places. So you create that alignment, you set that vision, you communicate. And overall, you're just trying to minimize the risk of failure. So why the Sesame roadmap? It is an industry standard approach. So the Sesame organization is the National Institute for Smart Manufacturing. There's not a better organization out there to follow in terms of What are the standards around these processes? It is solution agnostic. So this isn't asking SAP to come in and do a roadmap for me. This isn't asking Rockwell to come in and do a roadmap for me. This is looking at what is the best thing for the manufacturer, not for a vendor. It can be done relatively quickly, and it can be done at a pretty low cost and light resource commitment. Because of the approach that's been taken here and because of all the IP that's been baked into this process, it can be done pretty fast. So we have the 6 dimensions that John talked about. I guess I helped out. Yes, you did. And for each one of those, we have an analysis that we go through. So there's a set survey that goes out at the beginning to document what is the current state of the business. And we crowdsource that to get as broad an opinion from the organization as we can. We go through a deep dive interview process to understand the whys behind where you are today. What are the opportunities for the business? What are the key challenges? What are the things that we can really do to change the fortune of the business? We document the future state. We look at what is all this worth to the organization and how do we split that out into the different initiatives. And then we create the roadmap from there. All right. I know the pizzas are here, so I'm trying to keep this fast. Funding for the roadmap itself. Here in the Cleveland area, we work with an organization called Manufacturing Works. Mike Yost is a representative of that group back there. And we work with them to fund some of these different initiatives through LCC, C, and they have a program that's tied to the ITAC initiative out of the Department of Energy. And because we're linked to that initiative, there's up to $300,000 in funding for the manufacturer as matching money for any initiative called out in the roadmap that can be tied to energy efficiency. And by the way, that's most any efficiency improvement for the business ties to energy efficiency. If I run my machine less to produce the same amount of parts, I am more energy efficient now. So we have completed this with a whole bunch of different companies in the Cleveland area. We're currently working with certain of those companies to go through that ITAC application process. If anybody's familiar with what's happening in the government these days, that has slowed down. But hopefully things will pick back up and we'll start seeing approvals in that method soon. If you have questions about this, I can feed some now, but my time here this evening is actually pretty limited. John mentioned the course through RPI. I'm one of the instructors for that, and I have to go teach it this evening.
That's a good excuse.
It is a good excuse. So if you have questions, I'll take them now, or you can eat pizza. I've got cards, you can follow up with me, or you can talk to Mike Yost in the back of the room.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay.